Well, deadlines do indeed spur action. That is exactly what John Lynch had repeated over the course of this long Nick Bosa contractual and then holdout saga. And John Lynch was right. The deadline, obviously, has been week one. The 49ers, they don't care that much about training camp. They don't care about all this stuff that people were making up about team camaraderie, this, that. They just want Nick Bosa on the field. He's the defensive player of the year. The 49ers are a win now team, Super Bowl aspirations. Nick Bosa is one of their many star players. They needed to get him to sign this contract and end the holdout ahead of week one against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that did indeed happen in record fashion. We were wondering where the average per year would end up. Well, it ended up way above Aaron Donald's number of $31.7 million per year, the previous record. Nick Bosa is at 5 years, $170 million on top of the pre-existing 2023 year for which he was already under contract. That adds up to $34 million per year for Nick Bosa, shattering the Aaron Donald number. That is the record for NFL defenders. 170, $122.5 million in total guarantees for Nick Bosa. That shatters his brother's record of $102 million in total guarantees. Joey Bosa with the Chargers signed back in 2020. Here is what you need to tell your friends, though, if you're talking about this deal in terms of does this put the 49ers or will this put the 49ers in salary cap hell in the future, because it is so big at the surface level glance. We don't know the fully guaranteed money, which is way more important than total guaranteed money, and we don't know the contract structure yet. I'm guessing that the 49ers made this sustainable within the context of their salary cap, because salary cap sustainability has been a key operating theme of the 49ers ever since Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch took over. They've talked about building a great roster, but a sustainable one within the cap. I mean, just a few days ago, we were talking about how that was the primary impetus for them to move up and draft a quarterback in 2021. Salary cap sustainability. They didn't want to pay the big money to Jimmy Garoppolo or anybody at quarterback past 2021 so that they could afford other star players like Nick Bosa when their time came up for a new deal. Obviously, Trey Lance didn't work out for the 49ers, but Brock Purdy has so far worked out. He's costing less than $1 million per year, and that's given the 49ers the ability to re-sign so many of these star players to deals. In fact, I mean, the 49ers have, I think, set an NFL record under this regime. They have now re-signed 6 different players to position record contracts, and somehow, some way, they're keeping it sustainable under the salary cap, and I can explain how this is going to be a big breakdown of how that's going to work. First, though, I do want to emphasize that we don't know the structure of this deal yet, so some of this might be speculation. We'll definitely be back with the facts once they are out. I'm going to break this contract down in a way that you haven't seen broken down anywhere before. So anyway, with salary cap sustainability being such a point of emphasis for the 49ers, it would really surprise me if they decided to just abandon that with this contract for Nick Bosa. So no matter how big this contract is, and $34 million shatters the record for Aaron Donald, I do expect the 49ers, once this is all signed, sealed, delivered, and publicized through the team channels, all this and all that, and we have all the numbers, I do expect that the 49ers used spending money, and that is Jed York's pocketbook, to make sure that they bought sustainability with this contract. Well, what does that mean? Well, let's take a look at the biggest clue so far. So far, out of the details of this contract, we only know one of them, and that is the signing bonus. Here are the biggest signing bonuses in NFL history for edge rushers. Khalil Mack signed a $34 million signing bonus back when he inked with the Bears after they traded him. The Raiders traded him to Chicago. TJ Watt, this was 2 years ago, 2021, around the same time as Nick Bosa ending the hold-in with the Steelers, a $35.6 million signing bonus. Now, I thought that it'd be exceptional if Nick Bosa had a $40 million signing bonus, but the 49ers said, to hell with 40, we're going to give him a $50 million signing bonus. And that right there is our biggest clue that this is a cap sustainable deal, because any signing bonus or guaranteed option bonus money is prorated. It's amortized. It's stretched out like an accordion against the cap over the terms, or at least up to 5 years of a deal, over the length of the deal. So, for example, Nick Bosa, $50 million signing bonus, as you can see. Up to 5 years, you stretch that out against the cap. So that's $10 million per year of that $50 million signing bonus hits the cap in any given season. So that shows you that the 49ers are very, very committed to keeping themselves cap sustainable. Otherwise, you don't bust out the pocketbook like this and give somebody as big of an upfront bonus as Nick Bosa got from the 49ers. They're definitely trying to stretch this out over the life of the contract. And for all that we know, because we are still waiting right now on the fully guaranteed money and the structure, the 49ers could have given Nick Bosa an option bonus that's guaranteed and kicks in later, and even a second option bonus that's guaranteed and kicks in a year after the first option bonus. They could have done a triple bonus structure like the Eagles did with Jalen Hurts. All of that could be guaranteed money, and all of that will prorate for cap purposes. And I've talked about the fact that the 49ers have such a crowded situation in 2024. They have, $263 million of liabilities before this Bosa deal is even counted in 2024. And the salary cap is only expected to be a maximum of $256 million. So to keep themselves out of salary cap hell, to keep this sustainable, they need to find a way to lower the costs of 2024. And the first way to lower the 2024 costs is to find a way to spread the Nick Bosa expenses out. And this is such a big deal for Nick Bosa based on what we know so far, the $170 million, the $34 million per year, the $50 million signing bonus. This is such a big deal that they need to be willing to spend to stretch the money out. I say this, cash is king in the NFL. Repeat after me. Cash is king. You can find ways to kick the salary the salary cap can down the road if you are willing to spend big cash. And to me, it seems that Jed York is willing to spend big cash, because there was another piece of news a little bit later today. The 49ers restructured the contracts of Trent Williams and George Kittle to open up about $23 million of cap space. A restructure is not a pay cut. It's just the opposite, in fact. The restructure is the 49ers going to Trent Williams and George Kittle and saying, hey, you have this base salary this year. You're going to be paid out over the entire season. You're going to be paid out in weekly increments over the 18 weeks of the regular season. How about we take almost all of that base salary, everything except for the veteran minimum of $1.08 million, and how about we convert it to a signing bonus that we pay you right now? So in the case of Trent Williams, this was really big. This might have been something around $15 million, maybe a little bit more, because I think the base salary might have been $18 million this year. And in the case of George Kittle, this was about $10 or $11 million. The 49ers just made Trent Williams and George Kittle richer by $18 and $11 million respectively in one day. They're willing to pay that, so that way the money, instead of hitting the cap exclusively this season, hits the cap at a prorated rate over the course of the next several seasons. So the 49ers are spending, and they're spending very happily. Signing bonuses to George Kittle and Trent Williams today, and obviously a $50 million signing bonus headed Nick Bosa's way today. So I'm just going to do some napkin math, but I'm going to do it in my head. So this is brain math for David, and I'm not good at math, so bear with me. But if it's $18 million for Trent Williams, if it's $11 million for George Kittle, that's 18 plus 11. That's $29 million. And then it's $50 million for Nick Bosa. That's $79 million. That's damn near $80 million paid out in signing bonuses from Jed York. That's how committed the 49ers are to buying their way into salary cap sustainability. So what might they be plotting here? Because I obviously have my 49ers cap sheet, which, we talked about the fact the 49ers had to be under this 53-man cap by week 1 by today. They made a couple microtransactions the other day to be under the limit. They, even if, there was something with Bosa's deal that made it a little bit more expensive in 2023, they still didn't need to do this. I mean, this is drastic. They opened up $23 million of cap space. So right now, I don't have the numbers yet, the final ones on Bosa. I don't have the final numbers on Williams or Kittle, but I do know that this number up here, the $1.16 million of salary cap space, That's about to explode to 24 million if you just consider the Williams and Kittle restructure. So what does that mean in the large scheme of things? Well, it means two things potentially. Doesn't necessarily mean one or the other. It could mean two things. It can mean both of them. It can mean one of them. It can mean none of them, but probably means one of these two things at least. A, the 49ers may not have backloaded Nick Bosa's deal as much as we initially expected them to. If they have found the need to open up $23 million of salary cap space right now, we expected Nick Bosa's cap hit to go down in this 2023 season, but from the 17.9 million of the fifth-year option. But there's now a chance in my head that that number is going to actually go up. A, they have to pay $10 million of the amortized signing bonus, and B, maybe they keep Nick Bosa's cap hit or the, whatever other money is coming his way, base salary. Maybe they keep that money on the books here in 2023, knowing that they need to clear money up in 2024. So they just want to take a bigger hit right now. That's possible. Or another thing is possible as far as what the 49ers are plotting. Maybe they do still lower Nick Bosa's cap hit, but maybe they lower it even while they freed up money through these restructures for Williams and Kittle. And maybe the 49ers are ready to make splash trades. I mean, we're talking Chandler Jones upset with the Raiders, hasn't been at practice. Last year, the 49ers traded with the Carolina Panthers. Hell, Brian Burns. Maybe it's Brian Burns that the 49ers are trying to bring into the mix to pair with Nick Bosa. Or maybe it's both things are true at once. Maybe they're shouldering a little bit more of the Bosa load this year in 2023 through these two restructures, and they're maintaining flexibility to make a splash trade moving forward. You cannot rule out the possibility of the 49ers making another splash trade, considering the fact that they made one with Carolina last year for Christian McCaffrey. Also, remember my conversation with Jed York during the NFL owners meetings. We talked about this a lot after York said at the owners meetings. He said the 49ers were in position to go out and trade for Christian McCaffrey when the opportunity arose midstream last season. He said that the 49ers this year, because they're replenishing their draft capital, and they replenished it even more by trading Trey Lance away to the Dallas Cowboys and bringing a fourth rounder in return, the fact that that draft cupboard is now refilled again for the 49ers means that they are confident that if an opportunity arises to trade for another star player who fits their roster, like a Chandler Jones, like a Brian Burns, they're not going to be shy to go after that. And they have the money now to pay a player like that available. So again, we're going to have to see exactly how much money they have, because we're going to have to see the Nick Bosa contract structure. But we do know that they freed up an abnormal amount of money today, $23 million, because they've been willing to pay signing bonuses to Williams and Kittle, and obviously willing to pay the signing bonus to Nick Bosa. I think that this is a absolute all-cost win-now situation for the 49ers, and they feel they can have their cake and eat it too. They feel that they can push a lot of chips into the middle of the table, pay a guy like Nick Bosa, double down on guys like George Kittle and Trent Williams, go out, win football games in 2023. The goal for the 49ers is to win a Super Bowl. But they think that if they spend enough cash, because cash is king in the NFL and signing bonuses are prorated, they think they can keep this team together in 2024 as well. They're thinking big picture here. They're thinking big. They're swinging big here. That's what we've seen from the 49ers today. Again, $34 million per year for Nick Bosa. That's a record. Contract restructures for the other guys. That's not a record, but that's also a significant recommitment to veterans here in 2023, a few days before the season opener. I mean, you put all the pieces together and you see the 49ers as a team that is making very aggressive chess moves. I just sit back and I laugh at the people who would tweet, who would say really stupid stuff like, oh, this 49ers team, they're not aggressive enough. I mean, you couldn't ask for more aggressiveness than what the 49ers have delivered under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. At times, they've been too aggressive. You look back at how aggressive they were with the Trey Lance trade, that was pretty damn aggressive. They tried to thread a really narrow needle, and it didn't work out. But boy, as far as aggressiveness goes, they traded for Christian McCaffrey. They traded for Trent Williams. They have awarded 7 position record contracts, which, it's hard to double check this. I've tried to do some cursory research, but I haven't found a regime in NFL history that's been even close to awarding 7 position record contracts over its tenure, especially one as short as the 49ers tenure. It's 7 in 7 seasons, right? Kyle Juszczyk twice has reset the fullback market. Jimmy Garoppolo reset the QB market in 2018. Then we moved to 2020 when you saw George Kittle reset the tight end market. Trent Williams reset the tackle market in 2021 after the 49ers had traded for him. Then Fred Warner reset the linebacker market in 2021. And finally, here in 2023, we've seen Nick Bosa reset the entire defensive market. No defensive player has ever signed for a bigger contract than Nick Bosa signed with the 49ers today. It has blasted total guaranteed money precedent out of the water. It has blasted signing bonus precedent out of the water, and that's the big one that we know right now. I would venture to say that fully guaranteed money is going to be blasted out of the water because, I mean, he's already got $50 million fully guaranteed right here. 49ers will need to come up with another $30 million fully guaranteed in this deal for Bosa for him to pass TJ Watt, who's at $80 million fully guaranteed in his 2021 deal with the Steelers. I mean, this is big time spending for the 49ers at a big time juncture. A team in win now mode, looking to fit Nick Bosa onto their roster, satisfy Nick Bosa's contract demands, but also fit them from a sustainability perspective in the bigger picture. Well, I think that if you spend, you can do that. I outlined that last night on the airplane. I said, hey, this is what the 49ers need to do. They need to pick option 1 or pick option 2. And I can show you the 2 options, actually. This is a good thing to get up on the screen because I think they picked option 2 and I think that they picked pathway 2. And we'll know for sure once we have the actual details of this deal. All right, let me find this. This was one of those musings that I had on Twitter, or they call it X now. Here we go. I can copy and, well, first I'll take a screenshot of this. So this is something that I brought in to the conversation last night, and that we could revisit it now that Bosa has signed. So as you can see up here, the 49ers had 2 choices, 2 options. Meet Nick Bosa's asking price, but face 2024 salary cap hell or the need to cut important players in doing so. That was option 1. Doesn't sound so great, right? Option 2 was meet Bosa's asking price, but do so at a 2024 cap hit that enables continued salary cap sustainability so the 49ers don't have to blow up the team come 2020-24. Option 2 is obviously the rosier option, but it's harder to get to that option. There are a couple pathways that the 49ers could take to get to option 2. Pathway 1, play negotiation hardball in hopes that Bosa relents and signs a team-friendly deal that allows for cap sustainability. Well, I think the 49ers try to play hardball, but based on the initial readouts here, $34 million per year and a $50 million signing bonus, which blows away anything else that we've ever seen in the past, I don't think that they really went down the path of a quote-unquote team-friendly deal. So then there was pathway 2. Fork over massive signing and guaranteed option bonus money, bigger than initially budgeted for, since such pay would be stretched out for salary cap purposes. One can describe this as essentially buying cap sustainability. I think that's what the 49ers did. I think the 49ers bought cap sustainability here, and you have to give Jed York credit for being able to bust out the checkbook and award this to Nick Bosa, a $50 million signing bonus. Now, again, I absolutely cannot wait until we get the fully guaranteed money and the contract structure out, because you guys know I geek out over this stuff. You guys know that I built a whole contract for Nick Bosa in April, and I've showed it to you on this channel. I think we might have gotten pretty damn close to nailing where it's at, except for the fact that Bosa got even more money per year than had been expected. But it's going to be fascinating to see how the 49ers fit this within their salary cap, because they were busy on the front of finances today between Bosa, Williams, and Kittle. $80 million paid out. Just imagine waking up and deciding to pay $80 million in one lump sum. That's what the 49ers and Jed York did today. He is committed to making this team as strong as possible here in 2023 and beyond, because signing bonuses are the way to make that sustainable. All right, we can talk about the 49ers locker room reaction now. This is why you need to head to The Athletic and sign up for $1 a month. I think it's $1 a month. Matt Barrows and I co-wrote a piece from the 49ers locker room, because, I mean, it was a crazy day. This news dropped at 12:45 while the 49ers were mainly in the cafeteria at lunch. 3 or 4 players were in the locker room. Steve Wilkes walks by Fred Warner in the hallway near the cafeteria at 12:45 because Steve Wilkes had seen the Adam Schefter tweet breaking the news. Wilkes tells Fred Warner, All-Pro Fred, Bosa's here. Not literally here, but Bosa's here. Bosa is signed. Fred Warner just started yelling, screaming, and joy, running through the hallways. He became the town crier, runs into the locker room, starts yelling that Bosa had been signed. Javon Hargrave, the other blue chip pass rusher that the 49ers picked up this offseason, he first heard through Fred Warner running into the locker room. Everybody was very happy. Trent Williams was over the moon. Obviously, everybody we talked to, Eric Armstead, Cleveland Farrell. I mean, all these defensive linemen have their guy now, right? He's going to make life a lot easier for everybody. And it just so happens the 49ers play the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend. Yes, there's the coincidence with TJ Watt, whose records Nick Bosa just broke with this contract. But the Steelers, from a matchup standpoint, their weakness is at tackle. They've got a rookie offensive tackle as well. They're not very good. You look at this team, it's an ascending team. There's a lot of hype about the Steelers, but even the people who say, oh, whoa, this is going to be a dangerous football team, they will say that the one concern, obviously outside of the second-year quarterback Kenny Pickett, who showed some good stuff down the stretch last season and during this preseason, but the concern in front of him is that offensive tackle position. The 49ers were not in great position to expose that before Nick Bosa ended his holdout. But now Nick Bosa's ended his holdout, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have to brace themselves for a player who's probably going to be ready to go right out of bed. And they know this from experience because TJ Watt signed his contract on like Friday or Saturday before the first game in 2021. And then he dominated week 1 on Sunday, and he went on to win the Defensive Player of the Year. So Bosa's a player who, unless he comes into the 49ers facility later today or tomorrow with a beer belly, he's going to be ready to go. And Kyle Shanahan made the beer belly joke today. He said it is not in Nick Bosa's DNA to have a beer belly. Anyway, this is the article on the locker room reaction. Nick Bosa's deal brings a boost of confidence and levity to the 49ers locker room. It's $1 a month for the Athletic right now. This is where you're going to get the most detailed Nick Bosa contract, 49ers salary cap information. You're also going to get to step inside the locker room with us. I'm copying and pasting the link into the comment section, so make sure that you go ahead and check that out. Mike also put it in the description. So go through that link, sign up for $1 a month. Nick Bosa and his deal brings that boost of confidence and levity to the 49ers locker room. While you do that, subscribe to this channel as well. Hit the like button, comment, do whatever you need to, because we do have the most in-depth 49ers coverage out there for you. That was the locker room reaction. I will say this. I have another good piece that I want to put up there onto the screen for you. So just give me a second here as I slow down. I've been talking a lot here over the past 22 minutes. These things the Nick Bosa, Trent Williams post-game summits are still on. So after every single 49ers game, road or away, Nick Bosa will pull up a chair at Trent Williams' locker, which sometimes is on the very opposite end of the room. In the 49ers locker room, it's almost on opposite ends of the room. And Nick Bosa will sit there talking shop with Trent Williams, 2 All-Pros. I mean, it's like the Pro Bowl in that locker room. Christian McCaffrey will swing by sometime. George Kittle will swing by sometime. Kerry Hyder's neighbors with Trent Williams, so he's a big part of this. It is a summit after every game that shows you how powerful the football acumen in this 49ers locker room is. Trust me, when this kind of stuff is happening in your locker room, when Trent Williams is meeting with Nick Bosa, it will have good byproducts. Well, one thing that was in danger, as long as Nick Bosa was going to hold out, if this is going to last into the regular season, were the summits between Nick Bosa and Trent Williams. Well, those are still and I wrote about these summits. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes I X out of the screen and it's no fun because I got to bring the screen back up. So here we go. Share screen. I wrote about these summits back in January, and you should check this out too. You could probably just, here, I'll copy and paste the link if you do want to see it. Oops. accidentally X'd out of that. Just give me a second. I'm going to copy and paste this link if you want to check this out. And it is going to be in the comment. Well, here, I'll put it as a banner right now. So check this out as well. These are all $1 a month right now, and this is a great time to sign up for The Athletic. There was more good news for the 49ers today. First, why don't we talk about this? Injury front. George Kittle, adductor, back out of practice. Ray McLeod, remember there was these reports that they're going to put him on IR that ended up being a big load of crap. Ray McLeod is probably going to be back to play against his former team, the Steelers, so that should solve the 49ers' needs at punt returner, right? That's something people were stressing about over the course of the preseason. Oren Burks, back for the 49ers after the collision with Devontae Adams in Las Vegas last month. Tashawn Gibson, back for the 49ers. They're going to have their starting safety. Talanoa Hufanga, that too. People were wringing their hands about that one, but he's back out at practice after dealing with that knee cyst. And Jake Moody has been kicking field goals at practice for the 49ers, so he too is back. So the 49ers, I mean, this is like the Star Wars fully operational battle station, right? It's darn near fully operational as it heads over toward Pittsburgh. We'll see what the 49ers Death Star can do here in week 1. Just a really good day for the 49ers, considering the fact that there had been some weird energy, especially due to this Bosa situation over the course of training camp, and obviously the Trey Lance situation. I don't think that it's surprising that we got to the point where Trey Lance is no longer with the 49ers in the large scheme of things. Talking about this offseason, obviously Brock Purdy had surpassed him as the 49ers' chosen quarterback. Obviously, they had brought in Sam Darnold. Obviously, Darnold was better than Lance. Purdy is better than Lance. They were going to try to recoup a draft pick at some point if Purdy proved to be healthy. Purdy did prove to be healthy. Lance is gone, but it was still weird energy, especially if you consider within the larger picture of things, the 49ers, pushed all the chips in to draft Trey Lance in 2021. But the NFL moves quickly. The circumstances were what they were. The 49ers made the best possible business decision for right now. They traded Trey Lance. It still cast some weird energy. So did Nick Bosa's holdout. The fact that in one day today, so much went right, and today was the first practice for the Steelers, right? Today was the first regular season practice of the year, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, ahead of the Steelers. So much went right, from Nick Bosa finally ending the holdout and signing, to George Kittle, Ray McLeod, Oren Burks, Tashawn Gibson, Talanoa Hufanga, and Jake Moody all being back out at practice. Well, that's a reversal of mojo for the 49ers. I mean, just the vibes, a reversal of vibes. And that's exactly what you want to see if you're following the 49ers here entering week 1. The 49ers, who are willing to spend, again, $50 million as a signing bonus for Nick Bosa, and then $79 million as signing bonus money paid out to both Bosa and then George Kittle and Trent Williams today. A sign of the 49ers are really trying to open up some room here to get stuff done, and you could buy yourself salary cap sustainability if you do spend that money, which is what the 49ers have done. Finally, news on the 49ers team captains: Eric Armstead, Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Fred Warner, and Trent Williams. Now, team captains are voted on by their peers. So a lot of people are wondering, why isn't Nick Bosa a team captain? Well, Nick Bosa is not a team captain because he wasn't around over the course of the last month plus. And that's the period of time during which 49ers teammates decide who to vote for. It's really hard to be a team captain when you haven't been around the facility. So I don't think it's anything personal against Nick Bosa. I think that's just the reality of the situation. But Armstead, I mean, he's as steady as they come. Brock Purdy, I think, really earned the 49ers' trust with the toughness he showed starting last year against Seattle, playing with a broken rib, but then just coming back from the elbow injury. It took him, 4 months to be ready to be back out of practice instead of 6. So Brock Purdy, very deserving of captain status. Remember, Trey Lance wasn't a captain last year. 49ers teammates did not vote him a captain last year, which might have been, one of those signs that he hadn't fully won over the locker room. And obviously his play wasn't good enough to do that. And then he got hurt again. So Trey Lance right behind the 8 ball last year. Now Brock Purdy definitely out in front of the 8 ball this season. Brock Purdy in a much better spot than Trey Lance ever was as far as regard within the 49ers locker room. Then there's George Kittle, very respected as well, longtime veteran. Deebo Samuel earned captain status, and that's big. I mean, coming off a holdout year last year, wasn't in shape, right? Deebo Samuel wasn't last season. He's admitted that. Well, even year or odd year Debo, even year Debo has been in bad shape. Odd year Debo Samuel's been in good shape. That goes back to 2019 and 2021, the big season that earned him the contract. It looks like Debo Samuel is following that odd year path here in 2023, and I'm sure he'll be very proud to have been named a captain. Fred Warner, who spread the Bosa news today, and Trent Williams, the 49ers' other captains. Anyway, I'm going to open this up to a 49ers Q&A. Monumental day. I'm wearing the green blazer because Nick Bosa signed for a lot of money. Seems to follow the theme. I'm going to open up the comment section. And if you guys want to ask some questions, let's go for it. Anyway, also the 49ers and the Steelers today. I'm going to add another banner really fast. Defense. Maybe before I go to full Q&A, we could talk a little bit about this. I had my initial scouting report that I tweeted out about the Steelers, and I think that we can kind of tie, Bosa's back. We can tie that in with a preview of the matchup on Sunday. 49ers about 2-point favorites at this point. I wonder if the line might have changed by about a point with Bosa now certain to be back in the 49ers lineup. I tweeted this right before Bosa signed. So I'm scrolling down to it. Here we go. So here's the lowdown on the Steelers. We could talk about this right now. They're really good vibes around Pittsburgh. Really, really good vibes. They started last season 3-7, but they finished 6-1. So 9-8, the total record. Their DVOA, defense adjusted value average, over the back half of last season, Pittsburgh ranked number 7. So the good vibes coming out of Pittsburgh right now are not for nothing. It's because they finished last season off strong. I remember the 49ers finished off 2017 strong. They had good vibes entering 2018. That didn't necessarily mean that the play carried over into 2018. Injuries, of course, hit the 49ers early in that season, so that didn't end up good. But it's still something worth watching. The Steelers have good vibes surrounding their football team, and I think there's good reason to believe that Pittsburgh can field something interesting this year because they might have a defensive front that can rival the 49ers. And I know that's saying a lot because the 49ers have Nick Bosa. They've got Javon Hargrave. They've got Armstead. I mean, yes, the 49ers are really good up front. But between TJ Watt, who we've been talking about a lot, right? He's elite, just like Nick Bosa. Cam Hayward, elite defensive lineman on the inside for Pittsburgh. I mean, he's still a top 5 disruptor on the inside. Between just those two guys, plus a lot of really strong depth, including a new rookie, Keanu Benton out of Wisconsin, nose tackle type. I mean, Pittsburgh can get after it moving out of their 3-4 front. This is a really, really good defensive line that can cause the 49ers some trouble. But I'm here more to talk about the other side of the football. We're going to preview Brock Purdy against that Steelers defensive front in a bit. I want to preview Nick Bosa against Pittsburgh because now the 49ers will have a chance to potentially expose the Pittsburgh Steelers' biggest weakness, and that's offensive tackle. Kenny Pickett, second-year quarterback, did some impressive stuff over the course of last season, especially down the stretch when he was in structure. Kenny Pickett, though, was not nearly as good when he was running for his life and was out of structure. And the Steelers have a couple offensive tackles who I would not fully trust. They haven't earned that trust yet. They've got good guard play, but it's the offensive tackle play for Pittsburgh that is not as great. You take a look at, Bosa lines up on both sides, so it's hard to tell who's going to get, block Bosa more often. But Chooks Okafor, they call him Chooks on the right side. He played with Jalen Moore over in Western Michigan, the 49ers swing tackle. But there's Chooks Okafor on the right side, and then there's Dan Moore on the left side, and maybe Broderick Jones on the left side. Those between those 3 tackle options for the Pittsburgh Steelers, there's going to be chances for Nick Bosa to get after the quarterback. And Kenny Pickett last year, when he was able to release the ball in under 2.5 seconds, he was efficient. He was like a top 6 or top 7 efficiency guy. But if the 49ers cover well enough to force Kenny Pickett to hold on to the football more than 2.5 seconds, well, A, he was one of the least efficient quarterbacks in those scenarios last year. And B, Well, that's when the pressure can beat the defensive tackles, right? And at the 49ers with Bosa now, I mean, this was a lot harder to predict when Bosa was still holding out, but with Bosa in there now, I think they can really do a number on these offensive tackles of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, you do have to cover the short game because the Pittsburgh Steelers were very, very strong last year when Kenny Pickett was on schedule. So that means covering Deontay Johnson, covering George Pickens, 6'3", big target, covering Allen Robinson close to the line of scrimmage, making sure that the Steelers cannot find any rhythm with that short game early on. Pittsburgh was not a good team after the catch last season. They were either 31 or 32 in yak. So the 49ers just tackle well. This is not a team that's going to run you over after the catch. This is a team that's going to pick up gains within structure, but not with a lot of explosiveness. Maybe that changes in year 2 under Kenny Pickett. Maybe they do a little bit better job. But the DNA of the Steelers last year was a methodical offense that needed to stay within the structure of the play call. Well, Nick Bosa is a great guy to blow up the structure of the play call. That's why the 49ers, I think, match up really well against the Steelers defense, against the Steelers offense. And hey, I think that as far as matching up against the Steelers offense, any number one defense like the 49ers defense, they're going to have probably an edge entering the game, especially if they had got their guys. And the 49ers have their guys. Bosa, all-pro on the edge. Hargrave on the inside. Second level, Fred Warner, all-pro Fred. Back level, Charvarius Ward, all-pro Talanoa Hufanga. They're all healthy. They're all signed. They're all ready to go. 49ers are locked and loaded for week 1. All right, now with that, I can move on to the Q&A. Finally. Any chance the 49ers pick up Chandler Jones? There's always a chance. They freed up a ton of cap money today. We have to see the structure of the Bosa deal first. But like I said, Jed York told me at the owners' meetings last year, the 49ers, this is on his own volition too. I didn't ask him. He said they were in position to pick up McCaffrey last year. They think they're in position to make trades if those trade opportunities materialize this season. The 49ers are clearly in win now mode. No, Watt and Donald are not more per year in guaranteed money than Bosa. Bosa topped the guaranteed money chart. We don't know fully guaranteed money, but we know total guarantees, and Bosa is way above all those guys. 122. Number 2 is Joey Bosa at 102 million. So over 20 million more for Nick Bosa in total guarantees. Appreciate you, Clark. Are people in the chat seriously being negative about the 49ers right now? They just signed their 7th record-breaking contract of this regime. It's probably cap sustainable. Everybody is healthy. They couldn't have had a better day of news than they had, and there are still people that are negative. That just shows you that people are going to be negative just to be negative. Just got to ignore them and move on. I mean, today was objectively a really good day for the 49ers. I don't think that Bosa will be all too limited for the 49ers in this game. I think that he's going to go out there and, Kyle Shanahan, somebody asked how many snaps is Nick Bosa going to play, and Kyle Shanahan said, how many snaps will there be in the game? TJ Watt, coming off of his hold-in 2021, played 69 snaps in the Steelers' first game. I think Bosa's going to be in really good shape. I think he's going to be able to play quite a bit. They might ease off a little bit, but I wouldn't expect all too much. Yeah, I mean, today was a great day for the 49ers. Do I think the 49ers will be able to afford Dre Greenlaw? If they're willing to spend the cash on bonuses, they can keep this in front of the salary cap if they continue to draft well and fill out the margins with less expensive players. But why don't we just cross those bridges when we get to them? We're not there yet. We're not at the Ayuk bridge yet. We're not at the Greenlaw bridge yet. 2023 needs to happen first. I'm not sure if Ambry Thomas is starting because you don't know what alignment the 49ers are going to show up in. But if they start a nickel against a smaller slot receiver, shiftier guy, maybe Demo Lenore slides in, Ambry Thomas starts on the outside. Yes, we're at the Steelers bridge. That's the one that we cross now. We're not going to talk about the Brandon Ayuk contract, although somebody asked him if he's the next one to get paid, and he just smiled today and said, "We'll see." That's how we really emphasize that. I think that's how we ended our story here today. You guys need to make sure you do sign up for the Athletic and read some of the stuff that we're putting out there. This was the big piece from today. Nick Bosa's deal brings a boost of confidence and levity to the 49ers locker room. Ray McLeod is trending toward playing this weekend. Yes. So today they gave us a tour of the Levi Stadium food that is new for this year. And I'll tell you what, the crab sandwich was really good. That was my favorite. So just taking a quick look. They always do this before the start of the season. I was taken by surprise. I thought they wouldn't do it until right before the home opener, but they decided to do it right now. Just to pan through all of the food at Levi's Stadium that will be new on the menu this year. Always a fun day. Here in just a second, you're going to get to see my lunch. I'm going to go get a burrito after I'm done with this before I write more about Nick Bosa's contract, but this has held me over throughout the Bosa contract news. I mean, this was at about 12:30. This was my lunch. I had all this. See the crab sandwich in the middle? It was awesome. Oh, and the scallop. That was really good too. Brisket slider. That was the worst out of all those. Don't get the brisket slider. Get the crab sandwich if you go. And just like the seafood, the poke, all that. You don't normally see stuff like that at the stadium. Then they try to serve me cocktails, and I said, no, I got to work. And it's a good thing that I didn't have any because Nick Bosa signed like 5 or 10 minutes later. And I'm glad I'm sharp, ready to go here. 75 days, almost up. It's coming up, 75 days of no drinking. That's coming up, I think, the day before or after the Pittsburgh game. But anyway, I am locked, loaded, ready to go for the season, just like the 49ers, just like those crab sandwiches. Thought it's very similar to the crab sandwich they serve at Giants games. Very similar, but they had that dip with it here too. So I think that's a step up from what the Giants are serving out in the outfield. No word yet on the extra cap space because we don't know exactly how much Nick Bosa's deal is going to cost here in 2023. Again, once I get the full contract details, I will have a breakdown unlike any other. You're not going to be able to find it anywhere else. So subscribe to the channel, subscribe to The Athletic. We're going to have all of that in detail. It's tough for a crab sandwich at a stadium to be better than a New England lobster roll. Those lobster rolls were really, really damn good over the past few days. Hufanga's back out at practice. The details will probably, I'm guessing tomorrow, but sometimes they might come out tonight. I think Bosa and everything has to be officially processed before the details hit the wire. Jake Moody's doing well, back out at practice for the 49ers. They think that he will kick against Pittsburgh on Sunday. Lobster rolls are very nice in Maine. I had a lot of them over the past few days, but now I'm back in the Bay Area before going back east to Pittsburgh here in just a few days. All right, cool. I think I answered all the questions that I can answer because I am busy and I have to do some more contract analysis. So go ahead and check this out. Nick Bosa's deal brings a boost of confidence and levity to the 49ers locker room. That is up on The Athletic. It's $1 a month. It's in the description, so you can go click on that. Really, really interesting day for the 49ers beyond Nick Bosa signing, but I'll just run through a couple of the things. I mean, it's $34 million per year. Shatters the Aaron Donald mark of $31.7 million per year. So that question of ours is answered. $122.5 million total guarantees shattered Joey Bosa's record of $102 million. We don't know the structure yet, though, and that's going to be really important to analyze the 49ers cap situation. I will say that salary cap sustainability has been priority number one for this regime ever since Shanahan and Lynch took over, and I do not expect that to change with this deal because the 49ers, I mean, the biggest clue here is the massive $50 million signing bonus that the 49ers gave Nick Bosa Jed York and the 49ers are willing to spend, and that's the important thing to make this as sustainable as possible, because bonus hits stretch out over the course of the contract, at least 5 years, or at most 5 years of it. Cash is king in the NFL level. Here are your 49ers team captains, 6 of them. The Nick Bosa, Trent Williams summits are going to live on after the locker room today. Was very, very happy. 2 thumbs up for them about this deal. So go ahead and check this out. Pieces up on The Athletic. Everybody, it's been 45 minutes. We'll be back with more probably later tonight. So set those alarm bells, follow along, subscribe, like the video, do whatever you need to do. I'll talk to you soon. Time for me to get a burrito. I think Taqueria Cancun is on the menu here in San Francisco tonight.